Okay. For those of you who don't follow this project on Facebook and just on YouTube, just a little update here as to what's going on and why it hasn't progressed at all in the last couple of months. First, it was our work schedule at work, and I got through all of that, but in the meantime, I got ants in my pants and decided I needed to get a hold of a truck. I've been kind of shopping around for large trucks. I've watched a bunch of deals go by because I don't have a truck and trailer to be able to go and drag something away. And it always chaps me to see these things that come up and that I can't go get. And some of the good things are going to disappear if you don't act on them right away. So I've had to watch things just go away. So I decided to go get a truck, but what I decided on happened to need a little bit of attention, more than I had hoped I would need to give to it. So I was going to go for a little light tidy, and now this is where it stands. I drove it home. Had good brakes. It had it ran good, lots of power. It's got a lot of miles on it, mainly because it has a lot of miles on it, and there were some issues with the front suspension being the components being worn. I decided to get all that out from under there and rebuild that, and it turned into, while you're at it type of project, get in there and you might as well get to this because it's so much harder to get to once you put the truck back together. So things like the water pump, the peripherals, the air conditioning system, anything, hoses, belts, anything that's on the periphery of the motor, everything's coming out that needs to be cleaned up. And if it can't be salvaged, or if I don't know if it's how many miles are on it, I'm replacing it. So you can see over here, I don't know if you can see, this is a pile of stuff, and some of it's okay, some of it's sketchy, some of it is definitely no good. But I have no way of knowing how many miles or what conditions these peripherals are in. Steering box, like I said, there was an issue with the steering. It was a little wonky driving it, and I found loose ball joints, and things like the reservoir was dry, and it had been spraying all over the engine compartment for what looked like a number of years. This entire side of the truck was caked with about a half inch of grease and dirt that had to be scraped off with a putty knife. So while it had been taken care of reasonably, the brakes were in good shape and things like that. So somebody had maintained it reasonably. It just needed a little bit more attention. Try to clean it up a little bit, make it easier to work on going forward. But it's turned into a bigger project than I had hoped it would, and so it's taken up my time, where I should be working on that at this point. In the meantime, I came up with this device that I've been thinking about for a while since I worked on the Dodge Daytona project, and I dropped the hood because I was trying to handle it myself and messed up the front fender and the nose, and I had to redo all of that stuff after the paint job was complete and buffed out. This is basically something I've come up with to handle the weight of the hood or a deck lid. It has 4 telescoping arms that are attached to a center hub, and you can pivot it and then tighten this up at any angle. And at the top you can see there's tabs, and you just clamp those tabs to the underside of the hood on the pinch weld between the inner and outer skin. And it worked pretty good over on this. I had to take this one fender off of the vehicle in order to reestablish a gap between the fender and the door. It looks like it had been in a fender bender, and it pushed all of this back, so I had to take this off. And the reason I needed that device was the hinge is attached to the fender, and I didn't want to uninstall the hood just for this one little job. So I made up this device here, attached it to the hood with 4 clamps, and jacked it up, took the weight off, and was able to pull this fender off, pull the hinge off, and it worked pretty good. I have to probably make some adaptations to make it work with deck lid on the GTX project and also on the hood, because they won't exactly have the same type of attachment points, but hopefully that won't be a big deal. Here's my renovation pile of stuff so far off the truck that has I've gone through, media blasted and wire wheeled and cleaned up, and taking out the ball joints and the bushings, and all of that's going to go back in. Some of it's these torsion bars were a nightmare, and they're still stuck in lower A-frames. I had a heck of a time trying to get that whole mess out of the truck. Everything's heavy, weighs 300 tons compared to the stuff on the car over there. And like I said, this was not supposed to be a project. I was just going to clean it up here and there, and I had to do the front suspension. But getting to the front suspension and getting through all the caked up gunk and garbage just to find out where everything was bolted together, that was a project all by itself. So other things that I've done is things that I've been needing, but haven't put off for a long time for, I don't know why. They're cheap enough. This is a little press that I finally broke down and got from Harbor Freight, and for doing the ball joints and other things like that need to be pressed in. That's something, like I said, I've needed for a while to have one of those. The other thing that I picked up that I'm pretty happy with for the cost of it was about $200, was a small Media Blast cabinet, and it's a pretty decent size for $200. I mean, that's not too bad. You attach a shop vac to it, and that keeps the insides from getting too cloudy so you can see things. My only down or negative thing about this is the lighting inside is pretty bad. So, but that's not too bad. You can remedy that with LED battery powered lights, very bright these days, and so I'll get a couple of them and stick them up in there. But I've been needing one of these for a while. I've been using wire wheels and other things, and also taking things to work to Media Blast them, and so at the end of this year I won't have that anymore because they're phasing out my job, and they've basically offered me an early retirement package, and I took it because going forward my position won't exist, so didn't really have a real big choice on that. So after 18 years at Hendrick Motorsports, working mostly on the super speedway program, hanging bodies, at December 18th will be my last day, and we'll move on to something else. I'll have lots of time then to work on not so much money, but I'll have lots of time to work on finishing up this project out here for sure, and that'll be my main focus when we get there, and so I can come in here 40 hours a week and work on that and see how long it takes me to do it in that fashion instead of just a couple hours on the weekend, which is what I've been doing till now. I have some other projects, hopefully, that I want to do after this. We'll see how it goes with this project, as far as the turnaround, as far as if I'm able to sell it for enough that it makes a justification to do something else like this, or if this is going to be a grand experiment that's going to end my little enterprise here. We'll see. But I'm optimistic, and we'll see how that all goes. Like I said, I got tied up with something that I got a bug in my rear end that I needed a truck and I needed it now. But guess what? When you're not going to spend $30,000 to $60,000 on a truck, this is what you end up doing. You end up doing the old DIY. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that could sympathize with that. So that's the story from here for now. Hopefully I'll have more of this project and less of this in the near future. Thank you.